formed the business in 2004. I had previously been in the insurance business, post-textile career, and recognized there was an opportunity in the health insurance field. It seemed like everyone in the insurance business did it as a sidelight. They did car and house insurance, and then maybe they sold that on the side. And so there was I felt like a knowledge vacuum in that field. And so when I formed the business in 2004, it was to exclusively do health insurance related products in that, because it allowed us to take the time to learn the things that we need to do. And the way timing worked out, we've seen a lot of involvement in the business since 2004. Onset of the ACA, a lot of Medicare changes, things like that, that we went about doing. But we set out with the goal of being able to operate a business that's solely focused on clients' interest, and to somehow be able to make a living at that also. So we broker. Currently, we have the capability to work with about 60 different companies. So it enables us to put clients' interests first, without having to worry about any loyalty to a particular insurance company. And so that's the foundation of what the business was built on. I focus primarily on individual products. And then in 2016, we recognized another need out there in the group benefits side. And I have exhausted my knowledge of that topic, so I'm going to turn that over to Julie.
Okay. Do you want to go into any detail on the individual?
That's an overview.
Okay. Well, on the group side, I work with companies of all sizes, anywhere from 2 people up to 250 people. So all sizes of companies and all kinds of different regulations in there. So we help companies stay compliant with the ACA and any kind of regulation that they're responsible for. So my background is in HR. After my HR career was, I was in textile industry as HR, and then there weren't a whole lot of HR jobs left around after a few companies closed. And so I jumped across the desk and became an insurance broker for a large agency, and worked there for several years. And from there, I saw an opportunity to assist smaller companies. And when I say smaller, again, it's anywhere from 2 people up to 250. Some of the large insurance agencies are really being pressured to go after those major companies with thousands of employees. So there are smaller companies that are underserved by the larger agencies. So I saw that opportunity, and I brought that to Perkins Associates and started working with groups in the area. And I assist them with figuring out what best fits their employees and their company from a cost standpoint with their benefit package that they're offering their employees. And that can be medical, dental, vision, life insurance, disability, accident, critical illness, cancer, all of those things that employees are looking for to obtain from their employer. So I help with them looking at all of their options, and then we do enrollment meetings. I go out to the companies, help meet with their employees, help answer any questions. Again, we do help with compliance, keeping them in compliant with their regulations that are required from the ACA. And then we just continue that communication with those companies or our clients throughout the year. We stay in touch with them. If they need anything, they call on us for a variety of reasons, and we're there for them. I have 2 employees that work with me on the employee benefits division. It's Summer Randolph and Stephanie Scales, and they're represented on our website, and they help me a lot. And so this has been a crazy year for us because we've not been able to get out people don't want to see us this year. So I like to go out and see people, and unfortunately this has been an odd year. And so we've tried to grow the business from inside, and that's difficult to do. So I'm looking forward to getting the doors back open and letting us get in there and see some folks. So
is the majority of the work, Greg or Julie, now on the health insurance side, but you're also doing benefits?
It is with me doing primarily the individual side, and obviously I should have let Julie go first because all the things she said, I remembered that things I didn't say on that. The individual side is probably the larger share of what we do, but the growth opportunity that we saw in the group business was really what attracted us to bring Julie on and staff up for that, because that is where we really saw a hole in the service. But it's the same principles that I saw in the individual side. What you see in the individual side, when I talk about individual benefits, can be individual health insurance that you would buy if you don't have coverage through your company. Could be Medicare insurance out there. Those folks, in the same sense, tended to have somebody sold them something and then they never heard from them again. And so we set about building the business from a service standpoint so that everybody that we deal with, its client, hears from us, once a year at least, minimum, and then we're available to them whenever they need it for other services. What that has enabled us to do is operate primarily by referral, because I'm the worst salesman that you will ever meet. If I were not able to operate on referral, I would starve to death. So that was what we said about a business that could generate those referrals. And to be able to do that, you've got to offer a level of service that other folks are just not willing to offer. And that's what we've built both segments of the business based on that principle.
And everybody had health insurance provided by their employer. If there's anything that I've learned is now health insurance is no longer prior to Obamacare and some other things that have happened. It's no longer something that companies offer to the masses anymore. Is that the case, or have things improved beyond what I think they are?
Well, companies are struggling to offer benefits because let's face it, it's expensive. And that is a cost that employers have to take on. The carriers require that employers pay at least 50% of the employee-only premium. And so that's what they're looking at. 50% of, whatever that cost is. That's a lot to take on. But some employers, have had to bite the bullet on that and offer those benefits and figure out a way to pay that cost, because they need good employees. Employees are expecting this from their employers. So they're figuring it out. And that's where, they come to me and say, okay, we got to do this, but you got to help me figure out a way to do this cost effectively. And that's where we try our best to get creative.
What does the future hold? What are the changes coming, you think?
There's not been any further developments from the ACA except, I guess, the last major change was the individual mandate. There's no penalty for not having individual insurance. But from an employer standpoint, if you have more than 50 employees, you are required to offer insurance. If you do not, then there is a penalty involved there. Okay. And there's some other levels of penalties as well, but that hasn't changed. So if you're over 50 employees, you are required to offer insurance to your employees.
And the individual mandate still exists. It's just that the IRS has been instructed not to enforce it currently. So nobody's having to pay a penalty currently. That is something that could easily change depending on the political climate that's out there. So right. It is, as far as the structure of the ACA, my personal opinion, I don't look for that to change dramatically, because I think the opportunity has been there to do that and it's not been done. So I don't look for that to happen in the future. I think we will continue to exist in a very similar system to what we have now going forward. I don't look for there to be monumental changes, other than if you really look at the ACA, and if you were in the office, you'd hear me say this all the time. You either win really big or you lose really big on the ACA. And I think there is some, there are some efforts out there to the ones who are losing really big to find some way to soften that blow for them.
What do you think is your biggest challenge now, Greg and Julie, that you're facing in, other than we're in a worldwide pandemic, but what is the biggest challenge in the health insurance and benefit field now?
And the current biggest challenge is worldwide pandemic. And I'm primarily in the individual business, so I contact people individually. And and a lot of the carriers have risen to that challenge in the last, and there's been a transition to this beforehand, but it has really accelerated with the pandemic, with carriers trying to get us at a point where we can do business without contact, via phone, via email, via Zoom meeting, that kind of thing. And so that's helped. And one of the, within every major negative, there's some positives if you look hard enough. And that transition, technology-wise, has enabled us to, we consistently do business across 4 states and have done business in up to 8 different states now, which would not have been, prior to that, we would have probably done business in 2 states, here in Virginia, but we do quite a bit of business in South Carolina, Tennessee, and then other states that we've been able to do, but because of the technology that's been put in place.
Randy, I want to comment on that too. And
Sure.
Don, you asked a question. I saw part of it pop up there. Hopefully this can relate to your question you asked. The carriers have stepped it up. Number one, the COVID-19 testing was free, and they started offering the telehealth for free. So that helped a lot. And as far as the future goes, telehealth, teledoc, all those things will become more and more important. And I think our physicians and facilities will begin to use that service more and more because they've seen it work through this pandemic. The carriers have also provided a lot of information to employers and brokers throughout this whole pandemic, statistics regarding the virus, and then also what they're doing to help alleviate the burden on employers through webinars and Zoom meetings and that type thing. They extended the due dates for their invoices, the premiums that were due. They were extended, and then and now they're trying to help them catch up, but not just pounding them. So they're being really understanding of the premiums. And 4, we're seeing rate freezes on a lot of the ancillary coverages. Ancillary meaning dental, vision, life, disability. I've not seen any increases at all since March on those benefits for employers. And so the carriers are really stepping it up and helping throughout this whole thing. From an employer standpoint, just to go along these same lines, some of the struggles that they have faced is, of course, reducing their workforce and figuring out the difference between a furlough and a layoff and what that means from a benefit standpoint. And then if they're brought back to work, or can their benefits be reinstated, or do they have to go through another waiting period for their benefits to be back active? So those are the questions that we've gotten since March, and just continue to work with employers through, navigating those waters and figuring it all out. And, and we're learning as we go, because this was new to everybody. So, but the carriers have done a tremendous job in trying to alleviate the burden and provide information.